Well, from IEN's broadband system to teacher pay and Tuesday's bond elections, there's lots to cover in this week's Making the Grade. Our Don Nelson talked with Kevin Richert from Idaho Education News.
So, Kevin, obviously the first question I have to ask you about the bond and levy votes from last night. A, were you surprised, especially for West Ada? Let's concentrate on West Ada.
A little bit surprised because it is tough to get that two-thirds majority on a bond issue, and this wasn't a whole lot different than the proposal that had failed in August. What's surprising is not only that it passed, but it passed fairly comfortably by bond issue standards.
Would you say this is just a Band-Aid, so to speak, or are they going to be coming back in another couple of years, and are we going to do this over again?
I think with the growth in West Ada, you're probably going to see them come back with another bond issue in a couple of years. That's kind of become a standard operating procedure in a lot of these fast-growing districts. Valley View in Canyon County, they had a bond issue passed last night, and they're already saying, a couple of years out, we're going to be back with another one.
Let's talk about teacher pay increases and what has been decided at the State House with the legislators as far as the pay scale and also in the relationship to Shelley Barr, what her plan is for the teacher pay increases. When she went to legislators, she goes, I want this and this and this.
Okay. So what's been decided is nothing. Right now, there is no career ladder bill. There is no teacher pay bill that's going anywhere right now. The bill that was discussed at great length yesterday, 5 hours worth of hearings, that bill is dead. Reed DeMordaunt, the chairman of the House Education Committee, kind of wants to start over. He wants to do a rewrite. Sherry Ibarra would like to kind of just go away from the career ladder for a year, just give out a 3% raise to teachers, maybe do some career ladder pilot programs in a few districts. This thing's a long way from being settled, and it means the session is a long way from being settled because you can't really write a public school budget and go home for the year until you know what you're doing with teacher pay.
You want to tackle IEN?
Sure.
Do we have time for that? I think we do. Let's try to sneak this one in. What are you hearing from school districts?
Well, what school districts are saying and what the numbers say is that it's really all over the map. A lot of districts are saving money by going with their local contracts and going with different contractors. Some are winding up with contracts that are going to cost a lot more. It's not costing the districts any more money because the state is going to pick up the difference one way or the other. But the bottom line for the state and for taxpayers is that these local contracts, these short-term contracts that the districts had to scramble to put together, are turning out to be quite a bit cheaper, more than like $1.3 million cheaper.
Explain that, because our viewers, when you hear these numbers, substantially lower.
Right, and it's basically, it's going to cost the state about a little less than $2 million to keep the broadband in place for the rest of the school year. If you had stuck with the old Idaho Education Network contract, probably would have been more like $3.2 million. So quite a bit of difference, and that's why legislators are moving towards letting the districts do this for another year. Let them keep these short-term contracts and just roll them for another year while the state tries to figure out a longer-term solution of some kind.
You know, in our line of work, we always say this story has legs. It seems like this story does have legs.
Like a centipede.
Like it's a lot of short legs, but it keeps on moving, keeps on ticking. Where does the story go? There's going to be other different ways to cover this story.
Well, I think what's going to happen is it's going to be very interesting now to see what the state does in terms of a long-term contract, because that is still the plan. Even though we're saving a lot of money with these local deals, I think the state would still like to get one big contract, get all the districts taken care of so that the districts aren't having to do this scramble that they're having to do right now. But how do you do that, and what does that look like, and what does it wind up costing compared to what had been in place?
All right, we will find out, and I'm sure we'll address this issue with Kevin maybe next week or in the weeks and months to come. Hopefully not years to come. Hopefully we can wrap this issue up over the course of the next year. Kevin, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.